Right, good afternoon. Welcome to this Focus Education course. My name's Tim Nelson. I'm an associate consultant with Focus. My background's primary headships, local authority work, Ofsted. Sorry about the last bit. So I'll be taking you through, hopefully you're on the right course, this one. Subject leadership, giving an introduction to primary subject leadership, whether you're leading core or foundation subjects. First part of the course is just information that might be useful in the role. Apologies if it replicates things you've already been given in school, and then going on to the expectations if and when, if you do get Ofsteded, the kind of thing they would be looking for, but putting a spin on that in terms of how some of that practice might be useful for you as a subject leader. Understanding of the elements of the role, hit the ground running depending on which subject you lead, whether that's English, maths, or a foundation subject, or science, which kind of sits between the two. Hopefully the materials are useful, or some of them are. Keeping up to date, useful for your monitoring and evaluation. And then, as I said, give you an overview of what to expect if and when Ofsted turn up. Apologies if that's bringing the nightmares back if you have been inspected recently. So this first session is some ideas for sort of starting points and things you might want to explore or investigate a bit further. I am aware that basically it's throwing a lot of stuff at you. Try this, here's something else you could try this. I'm not in any way suggesting you will do all of this by Friday afternoon. Pick and mix, you know, what's going to have the most impact, what's going to be most useful. And in terms of what's going to have the most impact as a subject leader, you can be inundated with stuff potentially to do, different messages from different people, colleagues asking for things, demands from SLT for things. Ultimately, when you've got a to-do list, if that is not going to improve outcomes for the children, don't do it. Lack of teacher subject knowledge, right, we're planning bespoke targeted CPD, sharing a best practice. So that might be a useful, I do try and keep things simple. By simple grid like that, and just think, right, school context and the history of my subject. So I don't mean this is only for the history lead. I mean history in your subject. What supports progress in our subject that you now lead? As a result, what impact does that have? What are the barriers? Something else you might want to consider, just check what is out there. Sounds ominous, doesn't it? But check with colleagues, particularly if you're new to the school. Who are your colleagues? Specifically, what's their role, in case that needs recording, but more importantly, have they got any specialist knowledge, skills, training in your subject? It would be useful to look at your most recent Ofsted report. Of course, you will know if your school is currently a good school or it requires improvement or outstanding. But if you're taking on subject leadership, it might be useful to look in a bit more detail. And what's the current position then? That could inform, as you develop in the role, finding out key issues or weaknesses. It will be raised at the next inspection. So what's the case now? Have things improved? Have they gone down? Something else to consider, school policies relevant to your role. School action plans, school strategic improvement plans, school development plans. They're called all sorts of things. All schools will have one. It's a plan. As long as it's a cunning one, that's fine. So whatever it's called, just reminding yourself of the whole school priorities, which again, you will be aware of, I'm sure, from a class teacher perspective. One of the nice things into the world that you are emerging into as a subject leader is less reliance on data within the school, which it was, oh dear, it has been horrendous, particularly in some schools. And it was Ofsted's fault. It was Ofsted that drove us down that route. But anyway, brave new dawn, we hope. It's really useful to go back to the programme of study for your subject. You've probably inherited some long-term, medium-term planning, but my rhetorical question is, yes, but have you looked at the national curriculum?